In this video, we will be exploring ways the physical characteristics of the Earth influence human activities. So as usual, if you need to pause at any time, rewind the video, or if you'd like to watch the entire video again, please feel free to go ahead. It's very important that you understand this stuff. At the end of the video, if you have any questions, if you're confused about anything, please feel free to reach out to me and I will help you any way that I can. So just a little bit of a review. Earth's physical characteristics, hopefully you remember they are physical features, climate, natural resources, and natural hazards or natural disasters. If you're unclear on any of these, please go back to an earlier lesson. Make sure you understand what these are. Okay, the first of Earth's physical characteristics is physical features, and all landforms are in this category. Take a look at this graphic just to kind of refresh your memory on what Earth's physical features are. Then there's climate. You definitely want to make sure you understand the difference between climate and weather. Again, we went over this in an earlier lesson. If you need a refresher, here you go. Natural resources. Something like water, minerals, a forest, or a kind of animal that is found in nature and is valuable to humans. All of these are natural resources. Again, just a little review. And natural hazards or disasters, a naturally occurring event in a certain area that has a negative effect on people or the environment. So, with that done, how do Earth's physical characteristics influence human behavior? What are the ways we can react to them in order to live full and happy lives? And that's what the rest of this lesson is going to be on. How do these four things influence the way that we behave? One thing we can do is to adapt to the Earth's physical characteristics, to adapt to them, also known as adaptation. Adapt. These are changes people can make in order to survive and be happy. These are changes people make to themselves and do not change Earth's physical characteristics. So some examples might be, here you can see, people that live in very cold areas of our Earth have adapted in order to survive and be happy. And one way they've adapted, very simply, is by the clothing that they wear. You can see, obviously, this is not something that you would see anybody wearing, probably, in July in Maryland. That's because we don't need to make this kind of adaptation where we live because of our climate. But they do. In order to survive and be happy in these very cold regions, they need to adapt. And one way they've done that is by changing their clothing. Here's another example. People that live or explore the rainforest, the jungle. In order to survive there and to be happy, they need to adapt. This is another example of clothing that they wear. You can see this guy has on long sleeves. These are probably long pants. You don't want to be going into the jungle where a lot of your skin is exposed. He's also adapted because you can see he's packed all these supplies. He has kind of a knife here. All of these are changes that he made to himself to adapt, not to the environment. Another way that humans can adapt to Earth's physical features is shown in the kinds of food that they eat. So if you were to travel around the world, depending upon where you are on the Earth, what people eat there is an adaptation to the environment. I think probably the clearest one right here, sushi. Sushi comes from Japan. Japan is a small island in the Pacific Ocean. So everyone that lives in Japan has fairly easy access to the ocean. They've adapted so that they can survive and be happy there by getting things from the ocean and changing basically the way they eat, the foods that they enjoy. They're adapting to their environment. They're changing their personal tastes and the food that they eat. That is an adaptation, and we'll look more at how people's food choices reflects adaptation. We'll look at that more. The next thing that humans can do in order to survive and be happy is to modify Earth's physical characteristics, to modify these things. Now, some of these things can't easily be modified, like climate can't easily be modified, but the climate can be modified over time, most definitely. And hopefully you're aware that climate change is a real thing. It's a real challenge facing people. And we can modify the Earth and adapt so that the climate will allow us to continue to survive and be happy. Modifications, these are changes people can make in order to survive and be happy. These are changes people make to Earth's physical characteristics and are not changes to the people themselves. Changes that people can make to the Earth's physical characteristics. Again, in this example, unlike adaptation, the people aren't changing, they are changing Earth's physical characteristics. Modify. One example is by building a dam. Okay? Dams can, in many ways, allow people to live and be happy in certain parts of the world. There are many benefits to a dam. Of course, there are drawbacks as well, but this is an example of modification. Humans have actually changed the path of this river so they can survive and be happy. Another example, something that is really beyond me, is humans for many, many years have been able to modify the Earth so that there is literally a hole in a mountain so that a train can pass through it rather than having to go around. How they do that, I have no idea. But this is a great example of modification. Humans are changing the Earth. They're not making the changes to themselves. They're actually making a hole in a mountain so that the train can get through and they can survive and be happy. Modification. Major modifications. This is an example of New York City 100 or so years ago, maybe even older than that, and humans have modified the Earth. Obviously, they've had to set foundations and build these buildings. They've changed the Earth so that they can survive and be happy. This is what New York City looks like now. Very, very different. It's a little hard to actually see the changes made to the Earth, but they are definitely there, and we'll look more at that over the next couple days as well. This is another major modification that humans have made to the Earth. This is called the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. We're going to talk more about this down the road too, but humans have modified the Earth. They have made it so that there is a bridge. It looks like it's going out into the ocean. It isn't. It's going to another piece of land that's very far away. But you can see it required major changes to the Earth in order for this bridge to even exist. Modification. If we can't adapt and we can't modify, we can migrate to other places. So looking at these characteristics, if we can't change ourselves and we can't change the characteristics in order to survive and be happy, we can choose to migrate, to move to other places. To move or to migrate, also known as migration, means to relocate to a new area in order to change where people live. This does not include temporary residence changes or vacations. So this wouldn't be like I'm moving to France for the summer. That would not be migrating. Or I'm taking a vacation to India for 2 weeks and then I'm coming back. That is not migrating. To migrate means to relocate actually where people live. And this is a map. You don't have to look too closely at this, but you can kind of see even from a million years ago that people migrated because where they lived, they couldn't survive and be happy. Okay, so 3 ways that humans can react. 3 ways that human behavior is influenced by the Earth's physical characteristics. Again, feel free to rewind this video to any place that you would like to review and reach out to me with any questions.